Okay, what have you got?
So on the agenda, the first thing we're talking about partial City of Iona.
City of Iona does.
Yeah, there is
It's
a deal.
So that old
landfill.
140. Okay.
All that I got was an email just saying, would you be willing to ask the county commissioners if they would have interest in doing something with this that the city of Iona can acquire. So,
This what do they want for?
park there.
How many acres?
1.7 acres.
If we were to sell it to another government, I don't know if we have how much.
I don't think
It can be transferred.
Just the other thing. The price of that determining what's the we would probably do that in the assessor's office. At that, you couldn't build on it.
I don't think you would want to build on it because they don't know what's underneath the ground there. They could maybe make work out of it, but as long as they don't kind of put like restroom facilities or some other structure on there.
But because isn't there on the cover of that, I mean, there's a requirement from the closing to underground.
And I would maybe on that one, because it's quite close to the river. You know, they don't, they would have been, excuse me, they should have closed it around the time to make up the ground.
I was going to say it's been at least 25 years.
So if they closed it prior to river, you wouldn't have these building restrictions or obligations. You have to be careful about that information. So it's a bad person. Can I find it? Yeah, I think we're about to differential that. Yeah. So, and I would think an engineer would make them, if they're going to try to build on it, put something to set it off.
Yeah, I think they have to do some testing before they can start putting stuff on.
And that will fall back on them.
Is the whole 11 yards, 3 acres, not buildable, like, I don't know, one, could they
I don't know enough about it.
build them,
Yeah,
not over the,
that was before we worked green.
maybe that's what we need before. You know, then figure out what the value would be. Probably could be used as ag.
Yeah. So you want me to look at some old images and try to figure out what the footprint was? Reach out to us.
Yeah, just so that if we do, sale, with conditions, sale.
Okay. I'll do that. I'll look at some old images and see what the footprint was, if there's any ground that wasn't part of the landfill, and I'll reach out to us to that, get the value, and bring it back to you.
I was going to say, when I went to Kentucky in 2007, the city had just converted one landfill to a park. It was about 12 acres too. And they did the infrastructure on that to keep it open space. They did active recreation, all fields, private fields, zero structures. Park open space.
Okay.
The next item on the agenda is
Say you?
Yeah.
You probably want to state your name because since you're being recorded.
Paul Greenwood, plant engineer. The biggest, I guess, the point that we wanted to cover was just use of the landfill. We have a wastewater treatment facility that scrubs out the byproduct from our wastewater so that we can then discharge to city facilities. The sludge that we pull off of that, from that pretreatment facility. We can dispose of it in landfills. There's other options for us for disposal, but that takes a lot longer for us to get permitted agreements in place and to get it done. We're in the process of doing that. But for the time being, need access to be able to use the landfill to discharge.
What was your, how you approved by the city on this, the waste disposal? She said you've got a pre-treatment.
So the plan that we have with the city is largely based around what the conditions are for discharge. So pH balancing solids, and then our bill is associated with that. So
It's largely surrounding, but they address conditions on how to dispose of the solids.
Yeah, it wasn't a conditional use permit, it was just a permit use. Wait, Sam, let me see.
So we're just asking if we can use the landfill to dispose of the waste. We've used that your facility a few times. We've been turned away from the landfill many more times than we've been able to dump. We've been taking things over to Mud Lake to some farmers, but during crop season, it's not really easy to get into farmers.
What's in that waste?
Animal products, so fats, proteins, blood, hair, anything and everything that comes off of an animal.
And what's, I know we have pre-liquid restriction. Well, but we have a pit for cows and horses.
We incorporate the animals into the waste, so we bury them in the landfill.
State liquid restriction.
Yeah, we have a free liquid restriction, so if they can't pass the paint filter test, we can't.
That's the one.
So the EPA has a filter restriction, so it's method 95B. Basically, it's a paint filter that you use to straighten your paint, but then a beaker, you put 100 milliliters or 100 milligrams in that, and then you time it, you can pass it to that 5-minute period if you fail. That's not allowed in the lab. Also, the landfill doesn't allow fixed liquid. Basically, what fixed is if you take a liquid and mix it with dirt or something like that can fix it so that it will pass the filter test. You still don't take it because the original volume of liquid is still present. So when it's in the landfill, it will reach out. We're in trouble with DEQ over our problems now. So we're starting to crack down pretty hard on the free liquid. But they're cracking down on us.
That's one of the things that's holding us up on construction.
Yeah.
So it's easy to find the new job and problems taken care of.
Yeah. And I have a list of other things that we talked with DEQ last week about that go over some of that, but leaching and the leaching collection system. And then a big deal about us talking to the consultant.
So does that list include
No, it was a different situation, different discussion.
So are you aware of the paint filter?
We do a paint filter test before it leaves our property. And I don't send the truck unless it passes that paint filter test.
So does that satisfy you?
They have to provide that, but the landfill is designed for household, users. I mean, it's designed around that. So in our new operations plan, it's out there for approval right now. We have a statement in there that basically states that the landfill is not to be used for
industrial, commercial, bulk liquid waste.
And is that a requirement?
The leachate problem is a requirement, I mean, the paint filter test, and we have to, I mean, they have to provide a paint filter test every bag of paint, and they have to provide that with documentation prior to any type of disposal. There again, we're right now, we can't go into cell 4, so we have no room to take on beyond what we're right now. We're going to run out of space, and we're going to end up in our residential. As of next week, you can start hauling waste too. I played at the expense of the county because we won't allow us to.
Really? How long do you expect that to be before they?
I expect us to be into this little greater compliance plan over 2 or 3 months, which is going to cost us around $200,000. It costs us about $80,000 a week.
So what we do is,
And we're going to run into some issues because we have the wastewater treatment facilities that are coming in, and if we're not putting enough waste in, we're not going to be able to deal with their waste either. We're going to have to turn them away, and they'll have to go back to county until we can deal. This is going to cause us some heartburn, but you know, like,
that's the insertion.
we have not yet. We're still trying to figure out. Basically, we're waiting for DEQ to come back with a list of requirements prior to allowing us to get back into cell 4.
But in the interim, it's difficult for us to have somebody take up there and us have to haul back out there or work.
Yeah, no, anything that we haul out to Mudlake will go through the transfer station. And this is what would be allowed in the transfer station. They have to be direct shipped to the field. And there will be a cost. I mean, there has to be a cost associated with it. But right now, we are stretched for space, number one.
How much volume are we talking about with?
2 truckloads a week, 3. Once we get up to speed, it'll be a truckload a day.
We don't have the volume.
So all I need is 6 months. And then it'll just be intermittent that we do it. I'm working on an agreement with the group out of American Falls that they'll pay you to take the sludge, use it as part of their fertilizer. There's a number of other organizations where they're interested in it as a product, something to dispose of. I have to get rid of it. So I want limitation. I can have only so much of it outside of my footprint, which I'm not going to that's a DEQ limitation. I know that 537 on site.
How much of it can be purchased?
I've got 4 trailers full.
So do you have the option to go to Mud Lake then, since we're going to be hauling up there anyway?
You're not going to be able to take it to Mud Lake either. They've got the same limitations and problems with DEQ that you guys have, and they're a bit smaller than what yours is. So I don't even think your plan of being able to use DEQ or Mud Lake for a while is going to fly. They don't have space to take even 1 truckload a week.
I assume you've already worked that out, but they'll take ours.
We're talking about 2 different.
Well, we're talking about households, and we're talking about basically a biosolid that comes with that. It's what the wastewater treatment facilities don't want, it overloads them.
Right.
It's the same as what the Jersey plant in Shelley. Originally, the Jersey plant was dumping that on the POCW when they had to stop them. They had to find an alternative because they were overloading their system with the fuel that they had to stop. So they pump it in the trailer, dispose of it, with balls and everything.
I asked When did you start that?
What's that?
When did you approach Blunt Lake about transferring material to there?
Brand new applications on the. But we're talking about two different things here.
I understand. So
We
I just
have
know
an
that there,
agreement with Jefferson County to take all of our road bridge, so if we get blew out, we can't go to Petersonville, we have an agreement with over Mudley. So we have a long-standing, long-running agreement with Jefferson County for us to take that waste.
I thought the issue with Bud Lake was the same, solid.
we do a paint filter test on it. Their attendant that's there would do a visual inspection, but has never once done a paint filter test of the material.
Brad, comes Brandy.
She's online.
Brandy? Can you hear us?
Yeah, maybe. Can you hear us, Brandy? Oh, she's chatting.
She might have this.
Can you get her on the phone? Can you call her and get her on the phone?
Have you looked at builder review?
So
It's a great big one, go to hospitality, date, everything. The other question I had is, in the Twin Falls Road area, they've got all those complex operations. They're always looking for higher.
so if we strain out the blood and send it into it, so there is some blood that gets into it, but there's not a lot of iron. There's some.
There are a couple of complex operations on the. Okay. I wonder about
It's just really far to ship it for something to throw away.
Okay.
builder might be an option.
So, part of it is, I would hope that we would just be treated like any other business that's here in Idaho County communities. There's a lot of facilities that use your dump
I know the speed. Okay, so,
You are a private utility because you don't. You're a private utility in a public utility right away that denies access unless they annex. Not eligible to annex. It ties up the public right of the public utility right away. And we're looking at that on conditions when you screw these sewers down, basically take up future space for somebody else that could provide that service. You know, this is kind of an example of the problems it causes. You know, as we've always talked about, the impact on traffic, roads, things like that. I don't know, it's a frustration. We wish we could get questions to the policy answers that we sent over so we can start talking productively about a negative impact. But so far, those have been difficult to get answers to.
and I do have an update on that already.
We'll see.
Paul, do you have other places? I mean, I know you said earlier you're working on a contract with another company that will actually take that byproduct and use it. The only reason I ask that is I know that the plant that we did in the county that's out west of town, that's what their byproduct, their sludge, that stuff all goes. They deposit that and then it goes off to a facility that it's actually made into fertilizer.
That's all self-land applying, so the zoning on that one's different because they're agricultural, we're purely in industrial. So they're taking care of their own animals on their own property, their own feed, they've got everything tied up. So their land app application is very different than what we can do, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I was just curious because when we went through that process with them, I mean, they had all of those plans, all the land application, all the disposal. They told us how all that was kind of going to work.
So it's easier when they're under the umbrella of an ag. We're not. So we're industrial.
That makes sense. I was just curious.
We bring animals in from all over the place. Right. So where everyone was sending their animals out to Kansas and South Dakota, Nebraska to have them slaughtered and pulled, we brought that here so that we could do it in-house.
Which we see the value there. It's not like blind to the value.
I mean, we've slaughtered 100,000 animals that are from Bonneville and Jefferson County. You know, in the 8 months that we've been in operation. Probably closer to 50,000. 80% of our business is within the 2 counties adjacent to us.
I've got the number for Milton Butte. I'd give them a call. They're out set up early, and they're set up for all of the dairy and ag operations. As you know, number is 208-432-9082. 432-9082. I'd give them a call. I mean, there's 450,000 cows in the Magic Valley area. They've got quite a bit of byproduct that they're sending to that feed. Dead cows every day. So
You buy a lot of their cows.
it's a long ways to go, but it might give you a lot of
Cows are rare, sure. We'll say you could get a lot of their cows here.
We get them from Idaho, Montana, Canada. We get a lot of bison.
So surrounding counties wise, like Jefferson County, Madison County, Green County, do they have any options for
The only two landfills that have animal pits adjacent to them is Bonneville Pit. Sorry. So within 100 miles of us, those are the only 2 locations that we can take from a disposal standpoint. We can do a land application, but the permitting process to go through and do that, the farmers can't take 100% of it. Having a diversity of farmers that have facilities sufficient to be able to take that quantity is it's difficult, and then especially where right now crop growing right now, so they don't want to do the applications. So it's not something where I have a month that I need to get through to stay operational. It's not something that I'm going to use your facility for the next 20 years at a couple of days. I need to get through the next month so that I can get some of these operations opened up again. It's just intermittent from our standpoint to use the landfill application.
Difficulty for us, that puts us in a little bit 3 months of taking your stuff and hauling it for you.
If we'd be happy to take it out of my leg, you know, but it's the same issue there as way out here. I think it's an education component that I think you use when that comes out.
Brandy's still on the phone.
No,
She,
she's listening.
She's listening.
She doesn't have a mic.
It sounds like our hands are tied right now, since we've got to start hauling our own waste. And, you know, they have the agreement with what we currently produce. They're not gonna be willing to have us launder yours through our agreement with them, right? I mean, that's not gonna make sense. And so I think our hands are tied right now from what I'm hearing. I would like to, because if down the road something changes, just for this meeting, my understanding is end dumps are fine, right? Because that was a question, when you had me on the phone, you said the bigger problem was being turned away because of end dumps.
With the amount of times that we were turned back, I'd say over 50% of it was because we had an end up trailer.
So I wanted to make sure we resolved that, because I understand that shouldn't be an issue, right?
You know, the thing they put is wrong, or they never call.
Okay.
I was talking at them. We are trash trailers.
We started out, and all of our roll-off trucks are reared up.
That's what I
All our
thought.
trash trailers are 110 feet.
He felt like they were being
They were
singled out because it was an end dump. Okay.
I'd still like us to ask the question. So we know where we're going with DEQ. Is this leachate is problem for inspectors side that are out there? Yeah.
It's something we probably need to know, because once we get in the new sale, there may be times when they need to divert a load or two to us. You know, and if we do have the room at that time, if we are comfortable with it, you know, you may be asked that question. But if you've already approached them and know how it's going to affect your leachate, you know that it's okay or it's not, and we'll know that answer.
I would like to see us also be subject to a contract out where we could try to work on a program like that, violation. Just a heads up.
You know, again, we have no problem with meeting disposal requirements for you. So if there's something specific that you want to see from us, great.
You brought something else up that causing a little concern is your valley outside the disposal which causes problems for our landfill.
It's not just dedicated to big business from anyone.
That's the nature of what you do. I don't know, I wish it was a little simpler. I thought it was a little simpler today because of the few problems.
The current situation we're in right now for space is that's what's killing us.
We started early.
It's tied up with, so it's probably understand how they're tying those two together.
I know why they're doing that.
Well, I understand
Instead of,
how they're doing it.
instead of them writing us a fine, I feel like they're strong arguments another way.
So,
Without them having.
talk about it. Item number 3 is identify which existing next to the active the whole plant of grass. Number 9 is the leach over report. But, I mean, there's a lot of stuff here that's preventing us from getting it and so forth. Some of this stuff isn't that big a deal. Trying to figure out how we're going to do with leaching and where that's going to go and what it looks like is going to take some time.
And any liquid that we would happen to get compounds
Compound
leachate
leachate.
significantly.
Even if it's a fix, and I think that's kind of the point that I'm making here as well.
It will eventually.
Theirs is fixed. It's fixed in a somewhat solid form, but once it's put into the landfill, all the free liquids that are fixed within that are going to come out, which is what it should.
It's not fixed liquid, it's a solid that's been rewired. It's an entirely different product.
But we don't know how it could affect this down the road.
That's probably the answer we need to.
And without, even if we were in the beginning of the cell forward, until we get a layer or two of garlic in there, you know, it's going to cost us to our operations, so we can get spread out farther. It's the same with the wastewater treatment facility, we're not turning them away because we're not going to bring it into that track, be able to dump and recover it. So here's the source of the same thing. And what it's going to do is it's going to cause for landfill. So we're not getting it out solid material on top of that.
I was hopeful that we could come to some type of a solution today, Paul, I honestly was, but from what I'm hearing, especially with where we're already backed up on that, the EQ is not allowing us to go forward. And I've got to reiterate, the lack of planning on the city of Idaho Falls should not be our emergency.
So if I could point out one, a lot of the issues that you have in the DEQ report are pretty long standing. They're not because of. So I don't want the record to kind of stand in here that we've been the ones that have caused the issues at the landfill.
No, we don't.
Nobody's.
But the long-standing issues is what's impeding our ability to even operating, to be able to operate a business. So, you know, how the landfill is owned and operated has a direct effect with local businesses.
But conditions change, cost of it, how we're employed. And this is a perfect example. You know, I just thought, well, we should put orders require all cities to improve this every plant before they can approve. So
It's not because of us that the issue is present at the landfill. That issue's been there for decades, and there's documentation of it. I would also like to say that there's not been a point in time that you've been fined and or shut down in operations. And in talking with the DEQ, that's a part of how they operate. Their intent is to work with municipalities, not to find them to beat them over the head. They're hoping that they would take that money and spend it on the infrastructure upgrades as opposed to inducing violence.
which we are doing as best as we can. You know, but the growth in the area goes us up quicker than anticipated. So you try to make a long-term plan, but when you get unplanned things thrown at us, in different volumes than just your.
I understand that. So I just want to make the point that, you know, the issues that are persisting at the landfill are not at the, because IMP started business here. You know, these are things that are long-standing.
No one continues with that at all. They have nothing to do with it.
There's a lot of people that would say otherwise out in the public. They think that, you know, issues is because we showed up, so.
I do have a question regarding your DEQ permitting. Probably have to go through stuff with that at the initial part of the building plan, right? Did they require you, DEQ require you to show them a disposal plan?
Yes, and part of our disposal plan was land application with farmers that have composting component to their facilities.
Is that, is that something that we could get a copy of? Is that disposal plan with DEQ?
We're currently rewriting it at the moment. So,
Well, if we could get a copy of the existing one, that would be great. That would just let us know just what DEQ would approve as part of the disposal.
it wasn't even a written agreement, it was just, telling them what we have. So they're asking for a written agreement now, but we didn't have a written agreement before. So where we were doing agricultural land app for those that we can, and then taking it to municipal landfills for them.
I mean, that kind of seems weird to me that that wouldn't be a written agreement because, I don't know, they're pretty strict.
I wasn't here for the
They're pretty
construction of it,
strict
I
on
got here after.
But yeah, if there is something, I think that would be something that would be helpful for us to see, is just what DEQ agreed to as far as the disposal plan, because I know, and again, I know the one west is different, but we kind of had an understanding of what their disposal plan was, but DEQ had a long list of things they had to meet, basically had a whole report.
Our last write-up with DEQ has said that the sludge that we have from our pre-treatment facility can only go to a landfill for the time being. Their opinion of what we're doing right now, and the only place that it can go right now is to your landfill or to my way.
Yeah, they are the ones that are not allowing us to move into cell 4.
I understand the predicament.
So, and when you say they haven't shut us down, I hear that they're kind of shutting us down right now.
They're definitely holding.
And I think that's what would be interesting, because if you've got that in writing somewhere, then we can call them and say, well, hey, you're telling them that this has to be disposed of in the landfill, but you're telling us that we can't continue with our landfill. So there's a problem here. So that's why I think it would just be interesting to have.
told them that they could land out.
Yeah, so if you could get us that, that'd be great,
But in the future, the city and the county, I mean, when the people out west came and talked about their permitting, the county told them this cannot have a negative impact on our landfill or anything within the county. It's the same thing in the city. When these guys are giving out these permits, they need to have a disposal plan.
And that's
The plan needs to be approved by
That's where we need to, there's some place in our
county or land.
so that they're required to do that, we have sign off on it.
I think just like we're doing an ordinance for the wind turbines and solar, it probably wouldn't be bad to have an ordinance on animal waste.
And this
So
should have
that-
never been permitted.
So that we can require
This
that this is a county ordinance from the landfill, that if you're gonna do animal byproduct or XYZ, we've gotta have a study or something, whatever works, to show that, hey, we can actually do this and we can take this.
instead of us being offline, because we weren't informed, because it specifically meant a land use criteria. And there's gotta be a measurement plan farther ahead, we need to be more involved in those things instead of being caught afterwards and trying to catch up on planning ahead.
And I think where that, if we've got something in writing or ordinance, that gives you more ability to say, hey, well, this is what we require, so until we have this, we can't take it.
Right.
So I just think that'd be good to do for this as well. With learning process.
Because part of that's out of fairness to other type of businesses that is developed. So that apparently you were informed of a lot of this stuff. You said you had issues with City of Falls, which you can resolve those, but we've got the same type of concerns. So we'll take that input and try to do what we can to start resolving.
Is there a chance that I could get a month?
At this point, your chances to make sure you work something out with the lake, because that's what we're gonna have to call it. All of it's gonna have to go, whether that's a paint builder test, we have that takes right on the spot, so they'll take it.
It doesn't, to me, it doesn't make sense to take it to our facility, turn around, or ship it to,
We're basically shut down.
ship it to them, because it makes more sense to ship it there directly. And if we're operating with the same requirements, then the same tests we have to pass to leave it at ours, you have to pass to leave it theirs. I don't know enough about what specific scientific definition they use to determine liquid or solid.
It's not a modified liquid.
Anyway, I think that's about the best.
The issue is, yeah, we're shut down. That's kind of what I'm hearing.
Well, and yesterday I talked to Larry, it's like, we better start calling them up, like,
I don't know if you're even aware of that.
I'm going to start this coming Monday. We're trying to finish up some wood product stuff and a few things, and we're just gonna pull our whole crew together, because we're not going to, and the other problem is we can't haul enough trash like fast enough, so we're still going to have to go in our landfill. That's not a smaller quantity, and by us restricting the amount of waste that's going into our landfill, dealing with products similar to his and the wastewater treatment facility, we're not going to be able to get enough solids mixed in with that. So it's going to start to cause our landfill to become super spongy on top.
Well, the other suggestion is maybe get forward, but like the treasure, I'm sorry I didn't listen to the rest of our problems.
I would actually very much like to know his.
So, what else have you got?
well, I was just giving a heads up about the corrective action item that you sent to us. So, item number one, that waste stream program documentation. I think we've got that documentation together and get it sent to the training records for all solid waste staff. I think we have that together, and that's Great West Engineering is helping us with the leachate system inadequacies. One of the questions that our engineer has asked for clarification from you about it, they're saying our leachate collection system has to be designed for a 100-year storm event. And our engineer doesn't think that that's in the statute to accommodate a 100-year storm event in addition to the leachate. So that's being clarified. Post-closure care plan for Ocean landfill, they're saying we have to publish for public comment on that, and they're telling us that that's a dual consecutive 28-day publishing to go out for public comment on that post-closure plan. They're also saying we need to do the same thing for the municipal solid waste operations plan that has to be sent out for public comment for a dual 28-day period. They want us to have a contract with the tire hauler, and that tire hauler has to tell us what they're saying. They have to tell us and certify that they're taking the tires to a licensed disposal place, rather than we have a tire hauler that comes and takes them and he disposes of them, and it's on him to dispose of them properly. He is telling us we have to verify that he disposes of them properly. Storage of the adjacent to the transfer station. They want us to show weight tickets and stuff or how much we're hauling out of there. And we can show them how much we're hauling out of there. But our tire hauler, we don't have you shall take this many tires per week. That's not what we've got so far. And I don't know that we can get a contract from a tire hauler or a tire disposal company to say you will take X number of tires per week.
We still take tires.
So we take tires from dealers and they pay for it, right?
Dealers charge their own tire.
Okay.
Yeah. So Liberty Tire is one of the major tire people in Utah.
And that's where
Our tire recycler guy, started a business a few years ago, and he came to us and asked if we would use him, and then he became super popular, so now he's spread out all over picking the tires, so his ability to come on a regular basis is impeded, but we currently have Liberty Tire, Contrell, we're on their list for them to come and pick up tires, and we put ourselves on that list repetitively, trying to get rid of these tires. I talked to the tire recycler guy, and he understands our situation, so he's gonna try to come more. But he also has to service all the people that are contracted. So we are dealing with the tires, we're moving them out of there. It's a slow process. They think that we should be able to snap our fingers and they should be gone. That's not how it works.
But see, all of these things, they're tying together and why they won't give us permission to get into cell four.
So these are all new requirements they're putting on.
Well, it's an ongoing issue, but they're linking it to our permission to get into cell four and start operating cell four, which limits us on what we can do because we're almost out of space in cell three.
And as he said, some of these are ongoing issues that we've had for a while, this tire thing. EQ doesn't do anything with the guy out on Iona Road, and I'm not pointing fingers, but yet, for us, it's a constant factor that, these tires. So, we need to get them out of there, and we'll address it and get rid of them. But, and the other thing that I thought about, is we should stop taking tires until we can get a handle on it. The problem with that is, then those tires are gonna have to happen, so. Alongside the road, because if we don't take it, people are gonna scatter. So, that's something we could look at, if we could stop taking tires until we can get a handle on this, because they're coming in faster, we can haul them out, so.
Do that once. Tires out on West River Road. And run tires road. Was it near, it went up, but it wasn't near. Which would be the road. Again, it's pretty powerful program of risk, so it might have to be a temporary.
Which, if we can get approval from the commission, that might be something we can do, is stop collecting tires until we get these hauled out. Because they're coming in faster than we can get them hauled out currently.
I think we're gonna have to.
And, do a temporary shutdown for a couple months, or our other option is to go to the city and get a permit, a special use permit, allowing us to have those tires stored on that property. If we had a permit from the city that stated we could have a temporary storage, that would get us off the radar for that. We still need to haul them out of there.
That's going to be left out in space. Simple space.
Well, right now, we're storing it next to the transfer station for plant. Both of them are next to it. And so there's a lot more offsite of the transfer station than actually offsite of the.
We're allowed 1,500 tires on the transfer station property, which we don't exceed, but the tires that are on the adjacent property, which the county owns, but within the city limit, we would have to get a special use permit, tire storage special use permit, even if it was for a temporary amount of time in order, then that would get us off the DEP radar, put us back on the city's radar, and then we would have to, we would have to be regulated and close off.
Let's look into and see whether we can get a conditional use or a temporary use permit for tire disposal storage on the land usually adjacent to the transit.
Is that what tire pile, tire place is growing again?
I'm not sure how.
There is a company that I have contact with, I haven't talked to them recently, that they would come and get the tires, haul them off, and they go recycle them. And we were talking to them because the guy that has all the tires on the road would put some contact with them, and that's who he was working with. I'll look it up when I get back, but I can call them, pass along their information, they'll come get them, and they charge you a certain amount to pick them up and haul them off.
Yeah, we'll take all the help we
But
can.
we could probably, I mean, depending on what that fee is, we could probably adjust our fees for disposal if they could come get them. I'll give you their contact. We've talked to them.
But in the meantime, to avoid having any involved with that, with temporary best store.
Yeah, I'll go back to my office and check on that.
And then, another do an updated groundwater monitoring plan. So they're going to want additional wells drilled for groundwater monitoring. Just kind of tie up the whole additional moving on in the South Florida, what else is going to happen around here. And then underlying the table with what we're told. So we sent them, but they want additional samples added to that report.
Which we just went through the last order of water monitoring tests. And so once those came back from the lab and brought to that environment, and go through them and make sure they're correct. And they go through that process, then they approve them, then they give them to us. So those things are in motion. We're just waiting for some of that to come together so we can send them. We have already sent them the water sampling and everything for the leachate, for our control leachate release. All of those have came back within drinking water standard, or they all fall within the range that we have used in the past. And so basically what's happening with that is they don't have enough personnel, and they send that out to a third party to look at those reports, but that third party hasn't sent those back. But they want to tie this round of water sampling to that report in addition to the report. So that's all in the works right now. And then the water monitoring plan, we have a cluster of wells up the north end of the property that we have never gone in. They drilled them. They know what the static level, water level is, but we've never made them production. We never tested them. We just know what the levels are. So now they're asking them to go in and make their production wells so that we can do testing on them because of this release. So it won't cost us anything. And then we've drilled wells along the west boundary. We have 3 wells over there that we have put in 500 feet and then deeper. All of those wells that came back dry because the soil on that side is super tight. And so Catherine's concern is that they're going to make us move further to the north and on the west side and do some more drilling. In cell 5, we're going to abandon a cluster of 3 wells. We kept them in cell 4. We actually shortened cell 4 a little bit so we could keep them for another 7 or 8 years. And in cell 5, those wells will be abandoned. another cluster or, you know, scattered out. But those are just things we need to look at.
Thanks for the good news.
It gets better and better.
Okay, anything else? Do you there, House?
I have one more landfill thing. So we're gonna shut the transfer station down tomorrow from 7 o'clock until 1:30 for emergency shutdown. We need to have a couple of contractors come in and do some visual work. Just, we need to have the pit cleaned up so that they can see us and concrete stuff that we need to have patched in there, and then our floor, and the bottom is covered, metal floor is coming apart. So if you start getting phone calls tomorrow, we shut down, before you shut down for that short period, we'll reopen at 1:30 o'clock. As soon as they're done in there, but we have to have that morning in order to clear the trash out. So we're gonna close the transfer station from 7 o'clock until 1:30. Contractors will be there between 12:30 and 1:30. We figured out
There's an address for this, like before we have to close up for a week.
And it may be longer than that.
and we'll probably find it, depending on, and most of this is going to depend on the availability of big sheets of floor. But, and then last time we only did a third of the pit, this time we need to do the other 2/3. So we're looking at, we're gonna have the concrete guy do his work first. So yeah, it's time to ensure all the guys are in there doing the floor, but we're looking at a 2, maybe 3 week period.
So before we divert like commercial haulers. Yeah. So we got a falls, all directly to the hill. That's not an option. Yeah.
Well, for this short period, yes. For the long period, we just, basically right now, we need to have this short period shut down so that we can find out what the scope will work, you know, and then we can sit down and decide, okay, hopefully we can satisfy them. They'll allow us to move in and sell for it, and then we can shut down later in the year. That is what it is.
Is there a way that you've noticed people? I mean, you probably have a sign out there.
We got something.
You want trash limits, or put it on our Facebook.
No, yeah, press with the sound up to go like, gonna save a few phone calls.
So it's from 7 to 11:30 tomorrow.
7 to 1.
Did you want to correct me? So with the inspection, with emptying it out, we'll know for sure about the floor.
Yeah.
Because that helps us know how we need to accelerate this new transfer station.
We
We
know,
know how bad that is.
we know what the floor looks like on top. One of our problems is we've got a pump that's starting, it's creating itself on the one side. The floor moves because it's not attached, so it's lazy with it. So we're not sure if product waste is working its way around when the floor moves, if it's working its way under, or if we've got a pocket of that concrete in there that's starting to break up where the cat's running back and forth on that floor. So we've got to have a pretty good window there where that guy we can come in. We may have to actually attach to that floor and lift it. But the seams in the floor right now are currently broken in areas, so the floor, the walls are starting to do this, so I mean, it's time. The front part came completely out, that's why we have to replace the back one. It's just starting to wear where the seams are at.
We can put out that outbreak, just to clarify, is that the Sunnyside location?
No, the Emerald Avenue, 2455 Avenue.
Was proposed for 3 weeks. We may have to divert the commercial city haulers to like.
If we have to shut down and we are not in cell forward, then Madison County diverted their waste to Burn County, so we could even do that. I mean, we could, it'd be a shorter drive to go to Madison or being that would be to go, but they probably. And we're gonna try to work out some of that logistical stuff with the landfills, say, hey, you know, right now we're taking a little bit of waste out of Madison County because their construction went further, longer, I guess, than what they expected, and so Fremont, they had an agreement, Fremont, they closed on Monday, so we're gonna take their waste rate down, so it just, so, you know, we're gonna small patty on the back end of it. That's all I got.
Thank you. What else we got?
I just wanted to, we talked about the strategic initiatives grant program that come out. So this is the application that I'm finishing up to try to turn into a skill and get through that process. And I want to just allow you guys to look at it or see if you have any questions about it. It will be applying for what we have designed or nearly complete design on Iona Road from Hammond Road east 1 mile to 45 east. Curb gutter, sidewalk, 2 bridges in there, pedestrian facilities, especially across Sandy Creek, and getting them on all of those areas across Sandy Creek. We've had so many complaints about that in years past. That this is, I'm asking for $8.1 million, expecting the total project to be $9.1 million. Whether or not BMTO is going to be able to get $8 million is subject. I don't know that BMTO can $50 million statewide. They have to split it up between all 6 MTOs now until it's probably not going to be quite at the $8 million. But I mean, that's what the engineer says. Request. So if you have any questions about that or comment or whatever, I'll get this over to Darryl pretty quick and have him do it too.
We start that next year, so that all goes up there.
Well, that's no, the strategic initiatives grant program. They want shovel-ready program. They want shovel-ready products, and they want things to happen soon. And so, if this grant comes to fruition and we get money, it may happen next year. So, you're going to have to find a big
You're gonna have to build me an overpass so I can get into town or something.
I'm already doing with that.
I'm just joking. It's not big of a deal.
Did you see my letter?
I saw your letter, yes, I have it, email you back, and have to put in a couple details about Iona Road in there.
Oh, sure. You know, I sent you a Google Doc link. Okay. Feel free to edit it however you like.
I have to
Change it.
okay. I'll take a look at it, at that time, you bet. I appreciate your effort.
How did you read? Oh, is this on our agenda? So we need to approve the landfill and haul fees for $1.
Well, the haul fee was 31, but it was going to be, I think we had said that, we're going to go to 120.
But that's, deadline for that's monthly too.
So is this something that we're required to do, and then you send, so this is what you send to data.
Oh, okay, so this is for the tax notices current year?
Yes.
Okay, so not next year.
So if this is for the tax base, then it probably was supposed to be the new fee starting October first will be what we should be determined. Yeah.
Sounds
It
like
has been
we need to take a look closer to last year into the.
Or this is in arrears, probably is.
We sent out the tax notices.
That's what they're trying to do, Roger, is just change the 31, correct that 75.
Okay.
Before they send it out.
Yeah. Are we good with this?
Yep.
Yes. Second.
Favor? How would you be with the commissioners of there?
They are, it was a good meeting. We talked with Shannon Wilson, who is the geotechnical engineer at Elder Social. They talked about a number of different alternatives and different things that they proposed. We also talked about the possibility of making that a one-way road in the interim. So they were going to go back and put together a little memo or recommendation and say their opinion is if we do this, we could make it a one-way road and allow traffic to get by there as long as people are feeling the right way.
So that was the actual test was stable.
Well, they think that where the slide is, and then getting an excavator out there to start digging, they're working on stabilizing that. But they think even without doing that testing, if we put the Jersey rails right on the center line, and we only had the one lane against the hill, they didn't think there was going to be a problem because of what they noticed in the slide itself, and right bottom of the slide. And that's why I've asked them to write together and put together a memo about that rather than just us say do it. Okay. But they're working on it. In the scope of work that they had, they were going to bring a rail rig in. Looking at it up there, they're going to probably change that scope of work. Instead of trying to bring a drill rig in and make a base or whatever for it to sit on, they're probably going to contract with an excavator out there and dig a trench and see through that trench where the bottom of the slide is, try to work out what they can do there, how best to build up the base. They're talking about a welded wire cage filled with stones that we made and digging into the hillside above there, trying to get some of the material for that. And it's similar to the process they used on the Lincoln Road Bridge, that welded wire cage. That's what they're looking at. It's going to be probably 15 to 20 feet high minimum and still be below the road surface quite a ways.
Forest Services continue to be engaged with this.
No, not really. I mean, I've passed some information on to the Forest Service, but the Forest Service is not, they don't appear to be stepping forward and saying, how can we help this? They're just, what have you done? What can we pass on to our people? And how long is it going to take? That's as much good news as I have, sorry.
David's being required, so we must not have it. We're okay to send it out to District
I wouldn't send a notice yet. They are trying very, very hard. They will be there right now. If you go out there next Wednesday, 9th of August, they're going to be trying to put in 550 cubic yards of concrete curb.
Big roundabout.
No, that's all straight up. They're looking to put in over 10,000 feet of curb cut next Wednesday.
So once they get that, it's a couple of weeks covered.
Yeah. So they are still actively engaged and actively planning to get it paid before school starts on it.
That's Lincoln to First Street,
Lincoln to
First Street, that rest of the construction street. Like Austin, take this detour for the next 5 years.
I don't even know what Crowley Road is anymore. It's go the other way.
There's no Crowley.
Sorry. I grew up in Iona. We Crowley Road.
Anyway, yeah, we better keep.
I don't have.
Other calls? Have we raised enough concerns for you?
No, I don't know.
Oh, well, let's get started.
I'm not willing to take anymore. I just wanted to update you. We had a good meeting with Austin, this group on the area impact. I am preparing a briefing to the mayor that will go to her this Wednesday with responses on those questions that you had brought up. So we should have that to you.
Responses from the council.
So we have staff and city council's responses to those questions.
As a council. What we're after is, what are the thoughts? We drew up to the last negotiation. We spent a year and a half of hard work with both planning commissions and building and impact around providing services outside the year formed by a red line change, which was substantially changed. The city had a policy not to do that. That was adopted 14 months prior to that we were aware of. So we don't want to repeat that process. But we're not saying we're going to agree with all of the answers, but we need to know what the parameters are to avoid that type of situation.
Yeah, there are, trying to think, I read through them and then Slot was teaching them a little bit. Have that done by Monday, so that that's kind of where it is.
At least if we know what the policies are, and then we've got starting points. But before we come up against one of the problem, we told this is a policy, find out that it wasn't. We're just trying to expedite it.
Yeah, so we'll, I guess the short and shitty of it is just that, it's moving, we're trying to get you something like that. At least work on that again. We have to come. That's all.
You can see that there's going to be some other concerns involved with based on what you lay on these changes that were proposed.
Yeah, especially with utilities outside our boundary. Create so much problems.
Well, that everybody focuses on the impact of the roads, which is huge, but there's also impact to the utilities where you're getting out of areas where there are other service utilities that do provide access, taking up that space of the road so that you can. And then you've got an area that we should be providing the ability for somebody to serve a public utility that you can't throw right away. There are some other
Just one short item for the commissioners and Austin and Lance and the team. We have another annexation request from Johnston, it's the Johnston family. This is a small enclave that's basically surrounded by the city. It's on 17th Street, just east of Eagle Pines, commercial area there. They came once before,
And like where the septic is.
yeah, that's the name. They came before with the annexation request and moved denied. They had, it's less than 10 acres, it's a small piece of property, but they requested 55 units in there, and the council denied them. So they're coming back with a much lower density request. They're requesting an R1 zone, which is a quarter-acre lot zone, single-family detached quarter-acre. And we'll see how they do. They do have to request a change from commercial, because right now on the conference plan designates that area as commercial. So we have to move commercial to an R1 zone. And I believe they're hearing with communities today, and then it will go to the city council probably next month. So, any questions on that or concerns about that one?
Are they going to access on 17th Street? With a single access or?
I think the last time, yes, that was a single access. That was another issue. They had so many units. Yeah, the fire. At a quarter acre with roads and everything else. Not really sure, but I would say what's the 5.
That'll be good because I still have some access.
Also, the roads, the portion of 17th,
Absolutely.
that developed.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You get access to that.
The annexation is about section 1.
Yeah, the other one fits in the other.
So, yeah, if you guys have, if you own sections of right of way in that area that you want to give up to the city, you have to do that. I don't know, a lot of it's still going to be over. Yeah, most of it, I think it's mostly prescriptive. Yeah. That's it for me.
One thing this way I was she mentioned that they can receive education compensation. That's with their own plan. They don't have to yet, but I mean they are supposedly looking at that, which is one of the have them as a public utility that's willing to provide this service.
That's interesting, because, I mean, it's less where they don't find it, where they discharge.
Right. How are they going to discharge this thing?
Yeah.
Good luck. I guess there's certain times, and I don't know if I check, I don't know which discharge downward, not have to have bonds. That's, this is an FYI. I know even the ponds, I've noticed a certain brightness that around, Sunnyside, treatment plant for City of Iona Falls this year. I was going to talk to Chris about it, because I've never smelled white spots. I don't know what's causing it. I think it's the time of year when they killed a bunch of bugs this winter. They killed a bunch of the bugs, their digesters, so most of those not being killed. It just didn't land out very well around the region this year. I don't know, they've done a number of studies, they thought it was us for a long time. So I know that they had some issues over the winter when it just got real cold and they didn't protect them. Since those, we were what's that? So,
But they did get, I guess they did get.
they got the district operation for it, it's just not, that's supposedly there is an improved plan would be either to do drought protection prior to putting it in. So, but that's up to them.
They can ground injection stuff for wastewater treatment plant. They're getting this all for equipment. Like,
Oh, yeah, it's in your plan, let's speak about it. I can
Too well, there's some truth to that one. They'd have a hard time controlling it if we fed them directly. They could take a portion of it, but if we get the whole thing, it would be whole county spot. Yeah, it'd be way too much meat for them. But it does help.
expert. There's an armchair expert in many things that I wish I wasn't. So, all right, anything else, Tosh?
That's it.